Today we're going to be messing with Citadel color contrast paint. Contrast Apothecary White. That's what we're going to be messing with today. I have been really deep into Star Wars Legion lately, so anyone who's tried to paint white on any kind of grand scale has realized it's a bit more tricky than it seems. If you have to paint a ton of Stormtroopers, that can be real time consuming or just look terrible. So I heard about contrast paint. I figured it'd be neat, give it a shot, see if it could save me some time on the Stormtroopers. So the contrast paints are basically washes with extra pigment in them. The way they're supposed to be used is you base the mini in probably gray, I'm betting, and then spray white on top of that, like just from the aerial view to hit just the edges of the model that would be hit by light naturally. And then you use the contrast paints over the areas you would normally paint, and since they're watered down and almost washes, it just captures the natural highlight of the white tones you put there before. And that's how they're supposed to work. So I wanted to give that a try. I wanted to compare them to my old washing technique, and then I also wanted to see how they did with a more precise, just on the shade or the edges that are supposed to be shaded kind of color. And I gotta say, they got their uses. I still want to do a bit more experimenting with them to see what else I can use them for.
So we have our Citadel Contrast Apothecary White. I'm going to be trying to use this on some Stormtroopers. Now, I mentioned before the proper way to use this is to highlight the mini and then do some upper highlights, sometimes they're called Zentheal highlights, with either an airbrush or a spray paint can to highlight the natural areas that light would hit. But I have been painting some Stormtroopers, so I want to try to see if I can use this to speed up that process. I got 3 Stormtroopers. The 2 on the right have been glossed, so I put a little G on their base. The gloss I like using on washes because it breaks up the surface tension and makes it go into the creases a little bit better. So I want to see how it affects the Apothecary White contrast paint as well. So this one is just straight up white paint, and I'm just going to cover him in the Apothecary White just like a wash almost. Just cover the entire mini, all the little creases and crevices. It's going to be hit with this. Hopefully I can find some way to speed up the process of actually painting the Stormtroopers. So this is him once he's hit with the entire mini with the Apothecary White. I'm going to let him dry. I'm going to move on to a similar step to how I'm painting them now, with some Army Painter Quick Shade Mixing Medium and Army Shader Dark Tone. 1-to-1 ratio. What I've been doing right now is mixing these together and then hitting just the creases in the mini where the shading would naturally be. So if you wash a white, it tends to look dirty and terrible. And I know that going into this, and I'm going to try it anyway on this guy just so we have a comparison between how this affects it and how the contrast paint's affected. This model has been glossed, so like I mentioned before, I like glossing minis before I wash them because it breaks up the surface tension of the wash and makes the wash go into the recesses and shade a little bit better as opposed to sticking on the flat surfaces. So this is him once he's been completely washed with the Quick Shade Mixing Medium and the Dark Tone. And again, this mini was glossed. So this mini, glossed again, this is just going to be hit with the Apothecary White. I want to see if the gloss breaks up the surface tension of the contrast paint just like it does with the wash, and hopefully we'll get a better result with this. So this is the one I have the most hope for, because if this works, then that'll speed up the process a whole lot. So there we have him, glossed, contrast paint, and we're back to the first guy. This is just the plain white with the Apothecary, and it still looks dirty to me. It doesn't seem like it really did what I wanted it to. This isn't really what it's designed for, but like I said, I just wanted a comparison. Same thing with the Dark Tone in the Quick Shade Mixing Medium. It looks kind of dirty. The glossed Apothecary White did not do that much differently than the unglossed, surprisingly. I was really taken aback by that. So gloss is on the right, regular is on the left, and they look almost identical. So I mean, there's a little bit less buildup on the gloss model, so I'd still recommend doing that. But overall, it didn't get the result I was really hoping for. The middle one here is the washed, left side regular Apothecary White, right side Apothecary White unglossed. And they didn't look terrible for this, but they didn't quite get to where I wanted them to. So I'm going to try out one further step on an unglossed mini. I'm just going to take the Apothecary White, and I'm just going to hit the recesses like I used to do with the wash. And we're going to see how that affects it. I think that that's going to give us a better result. It puts the shading right where it needs to be. It's obviously more time consuming, which was kind of what I was trying to avoid, but at least with this method you don't have to mix the wash. And honestly, the wash, since it was a bit darker, it was a bit easier to tell when there was a little bit of a mistake. This, I do like a bit more than the wash method I used to use, honestly. I don't need to mix anything, the paint goes right where it needs to go, and it's a more subtle shading, which I like. It seems more realistic. It feels more like a shadow than the other wash. So, Game Night Studios, if you like this, please like, subscribe, follow my channel. Hopefully this video helped out somebody. Hope you guys liked it. Tell me in the comments if you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for coming out.